Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 324 based on novel. So let's start. What? You and Laro Luo fired together? Laro Luo is now a 6-star Dozyan with complete strength. In addition to your 7-star Dozyan strength, do you know what it means for the two of you to be together? I don't agree. Ling Yuanzi couldn't help being shocked. The Earth Court just dismissed a 7-star Dozyan level headmaster Lingfeng, and two of the head teachers in their spiritual academy offered to resign at the same time. As a result, there were two 7-star Dozyan in the land hall directly missing. The powerhouse and a 6-star fighting immortal powerhouse are exploiting their power. You must know that in this realm of fierce souls, the 6-star fighting immortals can already be regarded as a real powerhouse, while the 7-star fighting immortals have long been aloof and become the master of one party, and their strength has reached an unfathomable place. If the 7-star fighting immortal powerhouse is willing to be reactionary, then the strength is enough to cause a small chaos in Li Soul territory. After all, he is stronger than the master of Soul Li, and it is said that he is only an 8-star fighting immortal. From this, it is enough to see that the 7-star fighting fairy is the top power in the realm of Li Soul other than the supreme ruler. Without the two top powerhouses, the status of the Earth Spirit Academy would probably fall to the bottom of the 5 great courts, which was not a good thing for them, so Ling Yuanzi would not easily force them to retreat. My lord, I know that this happened suddenly, but we have received some news that there seems to be the guardian race of the Xiao clan who has surfaced above the Dodi continent, and their appearance this time seems to have come prepared. Therefore, after we are forced to go back to inherit the holy flame, we will help the Xiao family and revive the Xiao family. After all, if it wasn't for the Xiao clan, I'm afraid we would have long since disappeared. Every time he said the word Xiao clan, Di Laro's eyes were filled with respect as if he were treating gods. Xiao clan's guardian race. Is there any news at last? Didn't they disappear with the disappearance of the Xiao clan? How could it be? Ling Yuanzi heard the words, the smile on his cheeks instantly solidified, and his cheeks were filled with a gloomy and cold killing intent. The Xiao family disappeared mysteriously, but some of their vassal races did not disappear with them. They chose to disappear, as if they were avoiding something. The old man whispered. Oh, and such secrets. Ling Yuanzi frowned, thinking. The tyrannical Xiao clan has disappeared, which makes these strong people quite puzzled, and in the world, there are many strong people who have received the favor of the Xiao clan's gate, so if the Xiao clan's affairs turn around, I am afraid it will lead to a lot of strong people responded. If we find their descendants and protect them at all costs, only then can we find out the secret of the Xiao clan's disappearance for no reason. The Xiao clan, who is stronger than the first race in the Great Thousand World, is not the king's power, but the first aid to resist the foreign evil clan. This kind of force actually disappeared after the First World War. I absolutely do not believe it. This is destruction, it must be man-made. If we know the truth of the matter, those of us who have received the great favor of the Xiao clan must give our modest contribution, even if we do our best for the entire Lingyuan. In an instant, Ling Yuanzi's voice was also filled with a strong fluctuation. What the Lord said is very true. After a while, the old man laughed. Go back. After handing over the remaining procedures, you can go back. I will handle the rest for you. If there is news from the Xiao clan, remember to notify me as soon as possible. At that time, the ghost world would not be able to accommodate me. Ling Yuanzi spoke slowly, his voice full of melancholy. Di Laro nodded lightly, and immediately bowed solemnly, so he disappeared here. Soon, the news of the resignation of Di Ling Laro Gui and Luo Zhamu will also be spread. Earth Spirit Court. It seems that this time, the Second World War is not far away. The first battle of heaven and earth had the Holy King and the Xiao clan with 36 holy flames as the main force to resist. This time without the existence of the former two, I am afraid that this time the battle between heaven and earth will be more difficult. Ling Yuanzi alone standing in the bamboo forest, he said to himself, obviously the so-called battle of heaven and earth, even with his peak power of the 7-star fighting immortals, he felt powerless for a while. Own. As soon as the voice fell, the two figures slowly dissipated, and calm was restored here. As soon as the time passed, 5 days passed by. During the 5 days, Xiao Yang was cultivating in this spiritual pond with abundant energy from heaven and earth. It seems that I devoured the acacia fruit and the fighting immortal pill before, and it is impossible to make a breakthrough in a short period of time. The pool water surged, and Xiao Yang's figure emerged directly from the milky white pool water, and he said lazily, You brat, you are so lazy at stealing. Xiao Yang just appeared on a towering tree on the edge of the Linkai, and the voice of the old man entered Xiao Yang's ears. Old Earth. Xiao Yang said respectfully upon seeing this. Let's go. There is already news about what you said about entering the Earth Spirit Pagoda. But looking at the dean's face, it doesn't seem to be so easy to handle. D. Laro said helplessly. Let's go. Soldiers will come to block, water will come to cover. Seeing this, Xiao Yang said with a smile, as long as there is a way, he must not give up easily. The two formed a team, and after a while, they came to the forest hut in the spiritual garden. At this time, the dean of the spiritual garden stood slowly in the house. In this house, there are several buildings, of which Ling Yuanzi is currently in the study. Knocked lightly on the door, and suddenly Xiao Yang walked into the study. Come in. Ling Yuanzi sat slightly in the center of the study at this time, holding the exquisite scroll in his hand and carefully scrutinized it. Sir. The old man said respectfully. You go down. Ling Yuanzi said casually to the old man. As soon as the words fell, only Xiao Yang and Ling Yuanzi were left in the study. Sit down. Looking at Xiao Yang, Ling Yuanzi said with a smile. Obviously, he has Xiao Yang's courage and strength, and he is the master of Saint Yang, which is quite appreciated by Ling Yuanzi. Sir, how about that thing? After a while, Xiao Yang asked with concern. The value of the Earth Spirit Pagoda is enough to rank among the top treasures in the second Earth Spirit Courtyard, and every time it is opened, it requires a lot of financial and material resources. Financial resources are also quite exhausting. It has been 7 years since the last time the Earth Spirit Pagoda was opened, and the next one will be 3 years later, because the Earth Spirit Pagoda starts every 10 years. I remember that there were only 3 disciples who entered the Earth Spirit Pagoda the last time. When the 3 entered, they were all 4-star fighting immortals. Now in the past 7 years, they have become one of the best in the Soul Realm. Ling Yuanzi said to himself. Is there no way? Xiao Yang wondered. Although the Earth Spirit Pagoda is precious, Ling Feng has real power, but besides Ling Feng, there are 2 headmasters in the Earth Court, and they have quite a few opinions on this. So if you want to break through the ranks and enter the Earth Spirit Pagoda, only by defeating the other 2 outstanding disciples of the headmaster will it be possible. The 2 disciples were suppressed by Ling Yu in the courtyard, but their strength is also the late stage of the 4-star Dozian, and the 4-star Dozian who has half the realm is complete. During the competition, you can't use the holy flame, so, you can still. Are you confident? After finishing these conditions in one breath, Ling Yuanzi immediately stared at Xiao Yang, looking forward to Xiao Yang's actions and decisions. A powerhouse in the late stage of the 4-star fighting immortal, and a powerhouse who also has the complete half-field of the 4-star fighting immortal, can't use the holy flame. Listening to Ling Yuanzi's voice, Xiao Yang murmured to himself, obviously the matter is now within Xiao Yang's thinking. How? This is the best chance I can win for you, and it is also the biggest step back that Ling Feng can make. It is estimated that there will be no turning point. Ling Yuanzi seems to be indifferent, but he has something very special about Xiao Yang. I don't know why, but this Xiao Yang has a faint familiar aura about him. That aura is like someone from the Xiao clan, but all the descendants of the Xiao clan have disappeared mysteriously, and Ling Yuanzi is obviously not so stupid that Xiao Yang has the same surname. Xiao is defined as the descendants of the Xiao ethnic group. You can give it a try. After a while, Xiao Yang's mouth filled with a smile. Although he was only at the early stage of the 4-star fighting immortal stage, but relying on many means such as Acacia Flame Domain, Swallowing Flame Technique, and Soul Power, it was not easy to defeat the 2 of them. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, Xiao Yang would naturally not give up easily. That's good. Take a rest today, and tomorrow I will personally take you to the underground courtyard. I have won the qualification for you. After the matter is over, regardless of success or failure, Ling Yu's soul body must be returned to Ling Feng. And don't interrogate Ling Yu privately recently, otherwise, if Ling Feng finds out, some unnecessary things will be born. Trouble. Ling Yard ordered. Okay. Xiao Yang heard the words and immediately agreed. Go down and rest. After Ling Yuanzi finished speaking, Xiao Yang also disappeared here. Yuanzi, are you being too strict with him? Xiao Yang had just left when a beautiful woman walked in slowly, holding some delicate fruits in her hands, and smiled sweetly. This guy has the power of holy flame, and also the existence of lovesickness. I guess he should have absorbed the lovesickness fruit. If you force him a little, his limit and potential will be greatly improved in the future. Ling Yuanzi seeing this, he grinned and hurriedly got up and walked towards the shadow. You guy, don't forget that our lives were saved by the great power of the Xiao clan. The beautiful woman rolled her eyes and smiled immediately. Hey, that's natural. When the matter here is over, we will immediately go back to help other strong people find the Xiao clan together. After solving their problems, we can also live a good life in the mountains and forests. In the study, there is no doubt that there is a strong affection. At the same time, in the distant courtyard, the Earth Court stands on the edge of the Earth Spirit Domain, but at the same time it is also the most fertile place in the entire Earth Spirit Domain. Somewhere, there are towering trees, even a huge waterfall, flowing down vertically, and in the river below the waterfall, a beautiful shadow stands quietly and dignifiedly on a reef, with beautiful eyes slightly closed, facing the huge waterfall that was gushing down in front of him. It was like cultivating something. Miss, Master Ari is looking for you. After the breath, the void above the water stream wriggled, and a guard suddenly appeared, and he said respectfully, Erin, The shadow standing here cultivating is Irene. This guy is now the closed disciple of Headmaster Ari in the underground courtyard. Although Headmaster Ari ranks at the bottom of the 3 headmasters in the underground courtyard, his strength is also a genuine 7-star fighting immortal, and Headmaster Ari teaches his disciples quite a bit. Strict, so this Irene's strength and combat effectiveness are enough to rank among the top 3 existences in the courtyard. Teacher looking for me? At the next moment, Chenink's beautiful eyes slowly opened, and around the reef, a circle of energy ripples spread like a tide. 4-star fighting immortal late stage. Irene's strength is in the late stage of the 4-star fighting immortals. She rarely takes action in the underground courtyard. She has always been in retreat, but even so, no one dares to underestimate her. In addition to the face of the country and the city, is one of the most beautiful women in the courtyard. What is the teacher looking for from me? The beautiful eyes slowly opened, and the face of the country and the city was enough to make all things pale. My subordinates don't know, but it should be related to Headmaster Ling Feng. Please go there as soon as possible, the guard said. Understood. Although Headmaster Ling Feng has been dismissed, he has held power in the underground courtyard for a long time, and naturally he has a lot of prestige. Now he is trying to exchange Ling Yu's soul body with Xiao Yang, and he does not hesitate to use his prestige to try to crack and let him enter the Earth Spirit Tower. In this way, the teacher will naturally not give up easily for his own benefit. It seems that this should be the case. As soon as the voice fell, Irene's tender body slowly stood up, and then her toes slowly touched the ground, but in the river, there seemed to be a stream of light pouring into her body. In the middle of the room, there was an aura of terrifying violence, like a beast. After a while, Irene disappeared here. Another place in the courtyard. In the underground palace. The underground palace, this is the conference room for several headmasters and some important matters in the underground courtyard. The entire underground palace is full of colorful crystals and the space is extremely huge. At this time, several figures slowly stand in the underground palace. Don't go too far. Ling Feng was here with a sullen face looking at the other people. He couldn't help cursing. The 3 headmasters of the Earth Academy are Headmaster Ling Feng, Headmaster Ari, and Headmaster Wen. All 3 headmasters are at the level of 7-star fighting immortals. From the highest to the bottom, they are Ling Feng and Wen Zhong. Teach and teach Ari. Headmaster Ling Feng, your dismissal from the position of headmaster will cause a great loss to our courtyard. And what are you talking about? Ling Yu colluded with evil clans and sins from outside the realm, trying to erode our soul territory. Xiao Yang rectified sanctions for us. This is a good thing. You are trying to use your prestige over the years in exchange for Ling Yu. This itself it's an unreasonable thing. After Shurenshi, Headmaster Wen spoke first, but there was a man who looked like a scholar beside him. This man looks harmless to humans and animals, but in the entire underground courtyard, he is the real arrogant son of heaven. He was only suppressed by Ling Yu, and the terrifying aura revealed from his whole body made people palpitate. This must be done. Most elders agree with this. Tomorrow, if Xiao Yang can defeat your 2 most outstanding disciples, it will be feasible for Xiao Yang to enter the Earth Spirit Pagoda. If it fails, I will not mention it, and after this incident, I will hand over all our positions, to hide in the mountains and forests. Ling Feng spoke slowly after his breath. You must know that the head of the headmaster is as strong as this, and the position and power he holds behind him are so huge that he can make such a setback, and the other 2 headmasters are also satisfied and nodded. In that case, let's wait for tomorrow. As soon as the voice fell, several people left here. Xiao Yang. But as they left, Irene and the seemingly weak scholar, the corners of their mouths wriggled slightly, and a dangerous aura was revealed. Chiche's novels are first published on the whole network. The next day, the sun rose. Let's go. In the Ling Yuan, Ling Yuanzi and Xiao Yang stood in the house early, and Ling Yuanzi said immediately, "En." Xiao Yang nodded lightly, and his eyes were filled with hot fluctuations. This trip to the Earth Spirit Academy should be nearing the end at this time, and the Earth Spirit Pagoda may be the top priority of this trip to the ghost world, so no matter how difficult this trip is, it must be successful. Wang buzzing. With a sound, Ling Yuanzi's palm slowly lifted, and then the void in front of him suddenly wriggled. Space channel. It is a space passage that links the space, and with Xiao Yang's soul power, he knows that this space passage is extremely stable. Otherwise, if there is no such space passage, the time required to go from the Lingyuan to the underground courtyard is not 10,000. Heaven can't go down. With a sound, the two poured into it at the same time. There's still some time to get to the underground from here. The other two disciples in the courtyard are extremely powerful. Ari Zhangjiao's disciple, Ari Lina, is a strong water attribute, and it is said that she is a woman with a beautiful country. That kind of face makes countless disciples quite obsessed. After a while, Ling Yuan, the corners of Zi's mouth smiled, as if there was something unusual. Stunned. Xiao Yang suddenly looked stunned when he heard the words. Obviously, Ling Yuan's words had something to say, and Xiao Yang had a headache. It's not just about Kaylin's matter, but also about Mu Yingying's matter. If it spreads to Zunus' ears in the future, I'm afraid there will be a ***** storm, and then I'm afraid. The others are Wenyi under the headmaster Wen. His strength is even more terrifying, so be careful. The title of a scholar who kills your life is not a vain name. Ling Yard ordered. Don't worry, Dean, this disciple will definitely not lose the face of our spiritual academy. Xiao Yang smiled when he saw this. After a while, the two of them came to the underground courtyard smoothly. Another place, in the courtyard, is at the foot of Diling Mountain. Diling Mountain, this is the most precious mountain range guarded by the Earth Courtyard. The mountain range is quite small, but it contains extremely precious treasures. The ancient stone pagoda at the top of the mountain range is the Diling Pagoda. The guards here are extremely strict. Even a 6-star fighting immortal cannot easily pass through here. Halfway up the mountain of Diling Mountain, this is an extremely large open space, and it is also a battle area. Teacher, how did they? Outside the battle area that was bumpy like a dueling arena, Irene's cheeks were filled with fiery heat, her beautiful eyes flickered slightly, and she asked, as for Xiao Yang who possesses holy flame, obviously, even in her indifferent mood, she wanted to compete with him. What's the hurry? Anyway, his kid won't run away again. Wen Yi, who looked like a scholar, snorted coldly when he heard the words. Obviously he didn't think that Xiao Yang had a chance of winning against him. Ling Feng next to him was wearing a black robe, and his eyes were stern. Boom. Suddenly, the edge of the dual field, the void surged, and the figures of Xiao Yang and Ling Yuanzi slowly filled out. Is it finally here? In an instant, the people who had been waiting for a long time said, "Stop talking nonsense, let's do it." Xiao Yang just came here, and he glanced at the past, looking at the 3 masters and 2 disciples present, and said directly, "But that Irene's exquisite and high-quality body and like porcelain the doll-like face is enough to be called an alluring country. Xiao Yang, we are not those wastes in the Central Territory, you." Wen Yi said with a smile, the warning in his voice was obvious. "I'll come first." After Shun breathed, Irene took a slow step forward, and then she stared at Xiao Yang with beautiful eyes and said, I don't know why, but at first glance, Irene was aware of the terrifying power hidden under Xiao Yang's calm face. Even if Xiao Yang was only in the early stage of 4-star fighting immortals, Irene felt a burst of pressure. If that's the case, let's start. Ling Feng looked at the two without any hesitation, and smiled. Originally, Ling Feng thought that Xiao Yang would be dissatisfied with this, but now it seems that it is not. Spiritual Institute Xiao Yang, please enlighten me. Xiao Yang also collapsed forward, and immediately laughed. Irene of the underground courtyard, please enlighten me. Irene also said, let's enter the arena, the two of you will win the test. Both of them are geniuses in the Earth Spirit Academy. If I feel that the battle has been won, I will take the shot directly. The next moment, watching the intensified two, Ling Yuanzi said. Hee hee. Ling Yuanzi said, and the other 3 headmasters nodded. Ling Yuanzi's grievances and selflessness are very famous in the Earth Spirit Academy, and his strength is even more tyrannical, so he spoke, and several others also rest assured. Shabu Shabu. As soon as the words fell, Xiao Yang and Irene also rushed into the dueling arena. Boom. This dueling field is actually a prismatic space. This spiritual courtyard is really a big deal. I just entered the dueling field and found that it was a prismatic space. The so-called prismatic space is a special space like a sphere. This space is filled with forests, mountains, rivers, etc. It is clearly a different space that is imitated. The environment is set into the battle. The sky is full of water toad. In an instant, before Xiao Yan could react, a light voice suddenly resounded in the void of the dueling arena. After a while, in the huge water stream below the two, one after another hundreds of water columns rose into the sky, attacking Xiao Yang directly with terrifying power, and even hidden among the several water columns like some tyrannical creature. What a delicate power of control! Xiao Yang immediately said when he noticed such a terrifying attack. After a while, a scorching flame burst out from above Xiao Yang's body, and immediately stood high in the sky, vigilantly said. Seventh layer of breaking the sky. Yi Huaheng, ancient ruler, took off directly, blended the hot flames into it, and immediately chopped out 7 giant rulers of destruction, and attacked together with the huge water column. Bang bang bang! The giant ruler of hot flames easily slashed the water column. This guy! Seeing that the water column with terrifying power was so easily chopped by himself, Xiao Yang also fell into a brief doubt. Take it lightly, but it will be a very miserable death. Just when Xiao Yang was puzzled, a toad emerged from behind several water pillars with the momentum of thunder, and then raised its front paws and slapped Xiao Yang viciously. Bang bang bang! With such a slap in the air, the huge water flow directly surrounded Xiao Yang, and the tyrannical water pressure could directly crush Xiao Yang's body to shreds. Space Shuttle handprints. At this critical moment, some complicated handprints appeared on Xiao Yang's palm, and the void immediately emerged, escaping the attack of the water pressure. Water attribute, actually able to condense the water attribute into a creature with a space attribute attack. This girl's grasp and understanding of the water attribute may far exceed my understanding of the fire attribute. Xiao Yang had just escaped and couldn't help but look back. Glancing at it, he immediately saw that the void where his front feet were located was directly crushed into nothingness. Space teleportation? Good method. Seeing this, Irene couldn't help but smile. These methods are only available to some powerhouses who cultivate spatial attributes. Xiao Yang can use them, which is enough to show that there are many opportunities for this guy. But next time, how do you deal with it? Water and water. Give it to me. With a coquettish roar, the toad was immediately surrounded by a wave of water, and then twisted its huge body to kill Xiao Yang. Faced with such a situation, Xiao Yang didn't do anything, but his pupils slowly closed, and he immediately gathered the strength of his body on the tips of his fingers, and a palpitating wave suddenly appeared. The other people who were watching from the outside of the dueling arena were also staring intently at the match. They were also quite curious, who would win or lose between the water-type Irene and the fire-type Xiao Yang. This guy. Could it be that he has some confidence? Seeing Xiao Yang motionless, a trace of doubt appeared on Irene's pretty face. Obviously, Xiao Yang's calm appearance was definitely not accidental. The sky, 4 fingers. A hole in the sky. In an instant, Xiao Yang's pupils suddenly opened, and a very strong dazzling light beam suddenly diffused out from his fingertips, and immediately shot directly at the toad with a terrifying aura. Boom! The 4 fingers of the sky, the 4 fingers of this fighting technique are all at once, and its power is enough to resist some 4-star fighting immortals. Xiao Yang's attack has just let go, and the world will be filled with extremely strong anxiety. What a tyrannical fluctuation! Outside the arena, Wen Yi muttered to herself when she saw Xiao Yang's tactics. Obviously, Wen Yi naturally knew that Xiao Yang's ability to defeat Ling Yu was no accident. Bang bang bang! With a sound, the bright finger light came directly to the huge toad, and immediately swiped across the toad's body with ease, and suddenly burst into Irene with a shocking fluctuation. Sure enough. Irene looked at Xiao Yang's water attribute toad creature that easily defeated her with such a finger, and there was a smile on the corner of her mouth. Water fills the sky. A cold snort slowly emerged from Irene's mouth, so under the void where the two stood, in the huge river, countless waters trembled, facing Irene like a elf. Gathered away, and after a while, a huge water curtain with a size of 100 meters directly protected Irene's body. Boom! Xiao Yang's dazzling fingers attacked the water curtain, but it was not as terrifying and destructive as he had imagined, and it was as if he had hit a piece of cotton, but it was bounced off by it. This guy. Seeing that such a tyrannical blow had achieved little effect, Xiao Yang frowned. Obviously, this Irene is not of ours. The analysis is even more terrifying. This kind of opponent is a formidable opponent. Time is running out, so I won't play with your excellency. If you have any offense, please ask Hai Han. Xiao Yang's eyes became hot, and circles of fiery red flames suddenly emerged from his body. Fire element Great Celestial Seed, Fei Yan, Big Heaven Seed. In fact, you can use the power of Holy Flame. I want to see whether your Holy Flame is more powerful, or my nameless water is better. Seeing Xiao Yang's body burning hot the flame breath, Irene smiled lightly, but the pride in her voice was not concealed at all. Since I promised to make a promise, then I naturally won't break my promise. Red Flame Sea of Fire. The next moment, Xiao Yang's voice just fell, and the flames around him suddenly became violent, and immediately directly above the ocean in the battle area, completely vented into a sea of fire. What a terrifying great seed! The power of this flame is quite strange. Seeing Xiao Yang's actions, Irene also knew that Xiao Yang was not testing, and began to use all her strength, but did not dare to take it lightly, and immediately around her body, a swipe light blue water waves emerged, and after a while, Irene's figure also disappeared into the void. Where did you go? Realizing that Irene suddenly disappeared from his field of vision, Xiao Yang used his soul power to try to probe the location, but it was a strange discovery. Even with his own soul power, he could not find Irene. Position, so you can only glance at it and be vigilant at any time. Linus water attribute power is really getting stronger. If things go on like this, I'm afraid it won't be long before you will truly sense the existence of the realm, and then the power of our underground courtyard will be on a level. Headmaster Ari, it's really gratifying to congratulate. Ling Yuanzi, who was outside the field, couldn't help laughing while watching the scene in the battle. Underwater. After a while, Xiao Yang stared at the huge ocean below. At this time, huge bubbles suddenly emerged from the water surface. Yang even smelled some rather strange breath. Boom. The sky was already completely surrounded by the power of Xiao Yang's flames. Not long after that, countless water currents emerged under the blue ocean, and suddenly formed a shocking water column, which immediately emerged from the water. This is Fighting Soul? In an instant, with the appearance of these water jets, Xiao Yang's eyes narrowed, and he lost his voice. A huge creature like a real dragon, containing a violent aura, slowly stared at Xiao Yang. Bingo! Mingshui Yo Jiao. Mingshui Prison. Before Xiao Yang's shock dissipated, a beautiful voice emerged from the center of the water column. Crash! A piece of grey water appeared, and it instantly turned into a circular cage. With an unstoppable momentum, it blasted towards Xiao Yang. Mingshui Yo Jiao. This is a fighting spirit that is comparable to the heavenly level. Seeing this behemoth appear, Xiao Yang's heart surged in shock. The power of the fighting spirit is only a little weaker than that of the realm, and the essential difference between the 4-star fighting immortal and the 5-star fighting immortal is the presence or absence of the realm. Therefore, most of the powerhouses here are painstakingly comprehending the cultivation realm, and soon few people return. Find and conquer the fighting spirit. However, Xiao Yang knew that the fighting spirit did not conflict with the domain. If he had a tyrannical fighting spirit and the power of the domain, he would probably be able to fight beyond the ranks. Moreover, Xiao Yang's current undead ghost was seriously injured and could not be in a short period of time. Use. Crash. There was a rush of water. Xiao Yang wanted to escape, but it was too late. Suddenly, he was directly imprisoned. My dark water cage will continue to corrode the vindictiveness of the prisoners in the time of a stick of incense. The vindictiveness in your body will be eaten up. So, use the holy flame. I just want to see the power of the holy flame. Bound Xiao Yang, Irene sat playfully on the head of Mingshui Yo Jiao and said, whoosh! Spirit-devouring blood monument. In an instant, Xiao Yang's pupils became hideous, and a tyrannical wave was born. Give it up, it's useless. Irene shook her head, not knowing why Xiao Yang did such useless work. His own strength is in the late stage of the 4-star fighting immortal. With this heavenly grade fighting spirit, Xiao Yang, who was in the early stage of the 4-star fighting immortal, would not have the slightest chance of winning. Don't be too happy. Xiao Yang didn't take it seriously. Dozens of huge blood tablets appeared, and they immediately collided with the fiery red flames above Wang Yong. Boom. The spirit-devouring blood monument contained a rather **** aura, and it was extremely powerful. It directly collided with the great heavenly seed, and immediately circles of blood-colored ripples, like a tide, suddenly spread out from the void. Open, that terrifying energy fluctuation, even if it is as strong as Irene, can't help but tremble. I said, you have no chance. Netherworld heavenly water. With a cold snort, the light above Irene's body suddenly flourished, and then slowly poured into the fighting spirit beside Dao, so a fatal wave was slowly born. Eye of gaze. Seeing this, Xiao Yang smiled coldly. With a sound, Irene made a mistake, and the fighting skills were interrupted by Xiao Yang. Offended. Yu Mingtian is stunned. 4 fingers in the sky. Xiao Yang opened his mouth. And as Irene's fighting skills were suddenly interrupted by Xiao Yang, plus Xiao Yang's series of attacks, Irene was actually defeated by Xiao Yang's tyrannical attack. Yu. After the breath, as Xiao Yang's soul interfered with the display of fighting skills, Irene was directly defeated by Xiao Yang's successive attacks, and immediately roared at Xiao Yang in a rage. It's not that Irene is playing with the eldest young lady's temper, it's just that Irene was wronged. She clearly had the absolute upper hand just now. How could she be defeated by Xiao Yang with such a single blow, which made Irene, the proud daughter of the earth, to be defeated? I was quite dissatisfied, and how could Irene expect such a thing? Offended. Xiao Yang's series of attacks just now, if it is a real death fight, I am afraid that Irene has fallen. It was indeed Eileen who had the upper hand just now, but unfortunately, this genius woman in the underground courtyard, when she was hungry, Xiao Yang noticed that her soul power was quite weak, just like ordinary people, so her soul power was fatal to her. However, Xiao Yang also gave her enough face. If she didn't use her soul power at the beginning, otherwise this girl would be defeated even faster. I lost. Looking at Xiao Yang's deadly terrifying offensive, Irene pouted and said, but Xiao Yang's last blow was clearly enough to obliterate herself, but when he attacked him, suddenly withdrawing her hand, although this move was only extremely small, it made Irene's impression of Xiao Yang quite good. After all, this Xiao Yang did not have a bad hand to destroy flowers. Otherwise, with Irene's character, if she was humiliated by her, even if it was a serious injury, it will also decide the real victory and defeat, so it will not be so easy to admit defeat. It's just opportunistic, I'm sorry. Xiao Yang heard the words, slowly withdrew his hand, and all his strength dissipated, scratching his head and smiling. It's not opportunistic, I just didn't expect that your fighting spirit and soul power are so tyrannical. It seems that Ling Yu was defeated in your hands, there are indeed traces to follow. But I still look forward to a dignified battle with you who use Holy Flame. Although Irene has failed, this guy obviously has a good impression of Xiao Yang, and the reason for his good impression is naturally Xiao Yang's seemingly gentlemanly demeanor. This girl. Outside the arena, looking at Irene, who was calmly admitting defeat, and greeted Xiao Yang with a smile, the old face of Headmaster Ari also smiled slowly. He knew how high-hearted Irene was. Being arrogant, being able to make her like this is enough to see Xiao Yang's excellence, and even though she lost this test, it might be a good thing for Irene. Irene has been defeated. Seeing Xiao Yang defeating Irene by 3, 5 and 2, Ling Feng's face showed a hint of surprise, and he said, since Lina has been defeated, we will no longer participate in the debate about the Earth Spirit Pagoda. Looking at Irene in the field, Headmaster A smiled happily. He knew that this time, Irene, although she lost, she has gained a lot, which will be of great benefit to her future cultivation. The goal is achieved, and there is no need to go to muddy waters. When the headmaster saw this, his old face sank. Most of the elders in the courtyard had been persuaded by Ling Feng, but only the 2 headmasters disagreed. The position of the headmaster was extraordinary, and now Ari the headmaster didn't even care about it, and the fact that he was alone and couldn't support it alone made this guy quite angry. The fastest update of Chichi novel https:// Teacher. After a while, Irene left the battle circle, came to the periphery, and said, Chichi's novels are first published on the whole network. Look at me. Watching Erina come back, Wen Yi, a weak scholar on the side, said, Wen Yi, this guy is a well-known fighting madman. In the courtyard, only Ling Yu can suppress him. Now that Ling Yu is withering, he has enough hope to replace Ling Yu. What's more, it is said that this guy has fighting power. Even more tyrannical than Ling Yu. Let's start. Seeing Wen Yi like this, Ling Yuanzi stepped forward and said. Ling Yuanzi just made such a move, and suddenly there was a rather uneasy fluctuation in the space here. Crash. Wen Yi rushed into the battlefield after Shun breathed. My name is Wen Yi. In the courtyard, both strength and ranking are number 1. Just after entering the battlefield, Wen Yi and Xiao Yang were suspended in the void above Wang Yong at the same time. Wen Yi looked at Xiao indifferently. Yang said, Xiao Yang, Ling Yuan, I'm not very interested in the so-called number 1 in the earth, but I remember that the so-called number 1 in the earth was in my hands. Seeing this, Xiao Yang smiled and said immediately, Ling Yu's strength is not comparable to mine. Seeing Xiao Yang arguing against each other, Wen Yi was not angry and sneered. Let's fight. After a while, Xiao Yang's eyes became hot and he said, "When I fight with people, there is only life and death, no victory or defeat." While speaking, a tyrannical black light suddenly emerged from under Wen Yi's scholar-like cloak. Darkness attribute. Seeing this black light, Xiao Yang's expression became vigilant, and he spoke immediately. Original hand. Without giving Xiao Yang any chance to react, Wen Yi snorted coldly, the black light in his sleeves emerged directly, and immediately wrapped his arm. Countless dark lines appeared. At that time the arm was extremely terrifying, exuding an endless darkness. Boom. The next moment, Wen Yi's figure exploded, and the claws wrapped in black light turned into eagle claws shot directly at Xiao Yang. The wall of scarlet flames. Seeing such a terrifying blow, Xiao Yang's brows knitted together, the core of his body shook violently, and within a few breaths, the void in front of Xiao Yang turned into a huge fiery red wall. Boom. The flame wall was naturally compressed by Xiao Yang's soul power to control the power of the great heaven seed, but when he just arrived, and the huge flame wall was directly cut out by him. A huge hole. 4-star fighting immortals is complete. It really lives up to its reputation. Seeing this, Xiao Yang displayed his explosive technique and instantly escaped Wen Yi's attack distance. Do you only know how to run away? Seeing Xiao Yang fleeing like a lost dog, Wen Yi's eyes became deep and he snorted coldly, his voice filled with disdain. Wen Yi's strength is the same as Ling Feng's. Unfortunately, before Ling Yu's fall, he was defeated by him. Now he wants to regain his position, but it is impossible, so he can only put this move on Xiao Yang. Swallowing inflammation. Dragon God's first change. Bring it on. The ultimate battle between the Spirit Academy and the Earth Academy powerhouse. After a while, a dazzling flame of Do Qi emerged from Xiao Yang's body, and his strength soared to the peak of the late 4-star Dozian. Golden lines, the defense and strength of the whole person, to a higher level. This way, the battle is fun. In this way, I am qualified to be my opponent, but I will not let you pass my level easily. Earth Spirit Pagoda. It can only be in the pockets of the powerhouses of our underground courtyard. Seeing Xiao Yang's appearance like this, a darker aura suddenly appeared around Wen Yi's body. In an instant, the heavenly favored sons in these two earthling courtyards were no longer hiding, and the real battle was slowly unfolding at this moment. This video will end here.